Hello, my dear friends, fellow travelers, and photographers. Chris Lee here. Today, I'm going to present you an travelogues to a great nations in Asia. We're joining between the Asia and Europe continent, and this is a nation that we call it Turkey. Please bear with me. As a photographer, I've been traveling around the world and have captured a lot of images. And in this episode, I'm going to share with you of those places of interest that I have visited in Turkey, particularly the Istanbul, which now is no longer the capital city of Turkey after the Turkey have got its independence under the Republic of Turkey. And please share and subscribe my travel channels, and please like yourself and your friends that you can virtually travel around the world at the comfort of your homes by viewing my travelogues. If you're looking for more information, images, historical and geography background of the nations, then my travel channel is for you. So let's begin with our journey to this interesting capital city, once a capital city of Turkey and now is a commercial center of Turkey, Istanbul. So if you look at the map, you will see that actually Turkey is basically covered at both at the northwestern part of the Asian continent as well as a little bit of the Europe continents. And you can see the line there, the cutting between the Asia and Europe, and Istanbul is right at the juncture between these two continents. So let's go a bit on the background of Turkey and particularly Istanbul. Istanbul is the largest and most populous city of Turkey and the country's economical, cultural and historical centers located at the meeting point of Europe and Asia continent in the northwestern Turkey. The city oversees the Strait Bosporus, which provide the only passage, or rather the waterway, from the Black Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, while the Sea of Marmara. Istanbul is primarily known for its Byzantine and Ottoman architectures, but the city buildings reflects the various architectures, right? And that was influenced by the people and the empire that have previously ruled the city. Being the largest European city, it was named as the European capital of cultures, making the city the world's fifth most popular tourist destination. Istanbul started to have human settlements since the Roman Empire is about 3,000 years ago and was once the capital of Roman Empire. Istanbul remained as the capital of many subsequent empires, not until 1923 after the formation of Republic of Turkey. And the capital of Turkey was then moved to Ankara. So this is about Turkey, and you can see this is the map showing the so-called the topography of the map. You can see that quite a big area of Turkey nations are on high ground. You can see from the color that brownish in color. While the green is at the low ground as more at the coastal area. And our journey basically we flew from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, under the direct flight straight to Istanbul, and from Istanbul is where we begin our journey to explore this beautiful nation, Turkey. And we make a anti-clockwise and then back to Istanbul before fly back to Malaysia. So you can see that we literally have visited 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cities altogether during our visit to Turkey. And this is basically the tourist map of Turkey. And from here, you can see that there's quite numbers of interesting places that are for worth visiting by the tourists. Unfortunately, our time is fairly limited, so that we only cover a small fraction of the place of interest in Turkey, which will only cover in my travelogues of about 5 episodes in total. And today I'll bring you to this important city, Istanbul, that was the capital city of Turkey for many empires. Let's see what Istanbul have to offer. You can see that in this map, today I'm going to share with you a few interesting places, although there are many of them. Basically, we'll cover the Grand Bazaar, the Sultan Ahmet Mosque, or we used to call it Blue Mosque, and Topkapi Palace, and also the Galata Towers and the shopping street around there. And of course, you also will have a tour to the Galata Bridge. We're having our fish meal, a very famous fish meal in Istanbul. Okay, let's begin our journey in this beautiful city of Turkey. So, our first visit, first stop will be Topkapi Palace. Now, let's see what this some information about this palace. Topkapi Palace is now a museum. It's the last museum in Istanbul. And during the 15th century, this palace was the main residence and administrative headquarters of the Ottoman Sultans. The palace complex is located on the Saraglio Point, a promontory overlooking the Golden Horn, where the Bosporus Strait meets the Marmara Sea. Now, the palace is located on the highest point, close to the sea on a hilly terrain. Later on in my images, I will share with you how this palace oversees this important water passageway. Now, the palace complex comprises of 4 large courtyards with many smaller buildings and harems. Right? The first courtyard is the most accessible, while the fourth or the last courtyard and the harems are the least accessible. I will share with you more as we go along in the subsequent images. The access from one courtyard to the next courtyard need to pass through a gate and with high walls surrounded. In other words, without going through the gate, you can't access from one courtyard to the next courtyard. And Topkapi Palace is part of the historic area with a group of sites in Istanbul, and that was added to the UNESCO World Heritage Site in the year 1985. So let's go into the proper image to see how this palace look like. From the image here, you see that this is actually at the entrance or the first gate before entering to this palace. It's not something extravagant or something that outstanding that catch your eye. It's quite a normal, simple building facade. And as you move inside, you can then revisit the courtyard by courtyard. Now this is just a map abstracted from the Tourist Information Center. You can see that there's from the left is where our entry point, the gate number 1. You can see, and you enter to the first large courtyard. Then you move on to a next courtyard. This is a gate 2. This is a gate 1. This is where the entrance. The image is we saw just now is actually looking at this facade. Right now, this will be the second courtyard, and they enter the gate 2. Then they go to the second courtyard, and then you find that there's a gate 3, and that is more going to more palace proper. There's a lot of building residence, palace residence, and the buildings around here. Then finally you go to gate 4. These are harems. This is the harems, and over here, that is where you oversee the strait, the so-called waterway, right, at the high point. So the whole palace are literally located on the hilltops. So let's go on to the next image. So still on the gate 1, and this is some of the closer look of the decorations and on the facade of the gate number 1. And we have entered from the gate 1. Now we are in the courtyard 1. So literally, basically, the courtyard is actually a large landscape area, and with a wide passageway linking between the gate 1 and gate 2. So and of course you can see the high wall surrounding the courtyard. There are some lookout posts for this. Basically, those now become a new museum. Before it turned to a museum when it was the residence of the Sultan. Of course, these are actually where the palace guard are actually manning the 4 wall to ensure that there no intruder enter this palace compound. And this is actually the gate 2, where we are about to enter to courtyard 2. So this is a closer view of the gate 2. So you can see that the Ottomans and Byzantine architecture are well reflected in this palace building. And this is actually why we are passing through the gate 2. And this is some of the decorations on the ceiling. And as after enter from gate 2, here is basically the courtyard 3. And in courtyard 3, you can see that the house a mosque. So again, all these courtyard are a large landscape compound. This is the surrounding view of courtyard 3. And in courtyard 3 actually is on the one end, it actually is where the kitchens are located, where when there is a big function, then the food are then cooked and prepared in courtyard 3 in the kitchen area, and bring it into the courtyard 4, where the main area, the main resident area of the Sultan. So this is a gate 3, and before we enter to the final courtyard 4. And the gate, of course, you can see that from the very simple gate, as you move on from gate 2 and gate 3, you find that actually they are more elegant and more luxurious in the decorations. So this is a closer view of the gate 3. And after enter from gate 3 and before step out to gate courtyard 4, this is actually the cantilever, or so-called the overhangs foyer at the gate 3. Some of the decorations and on the ceiling and on the wall. The Islamic inscriptions were well on the wall above the gate. And this actually, if we look back at the gate 3, so now we are actually strolling around at the courtyard 4 as well as the around the resident places of this palace. So there are a lot of buildings, more buildings, but of course that the most of these buildings are not open for visitor. This was, I was told, this was actually the leisure place for the royal family, the Sultan and his family, right, to have a rest during the day. It's all the decoration on the ceiling, on the wall. The town work was quite extensive in certain buildings, not all, but in some of the buildings in this area. And you can see that at the end of near to the edge of the courtyard 4, that's where you oversee the important street, where the waterway, or there, in other words, there is where the Bosporus Strait, right? The Bosporus Strait. Here we are at the highest platform, oversee this the strait. So basically, overlooking the Golden Horn is the name given to this place. You can see that this is very heavy, a very heavy traffic waterway, as the link between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean Sea, the only passageway linking these two seas. So we are actually overlooked not only on the strait, but we also can oversee certain section of the city of Istanbul at this high point. So the next important places that we are going to introduce to you today is Hippodrome of Constantinople. Right. This is basically a historical square in the city of Istanbul. The square is also called Meydani in Turkish, which means horse square. Now, the location of this square is been shown in the arrow mark there, and basically is also facing the sea. This square now have a new name. It's named as a Sultan Ahmet Square. Now, during the Byzantine Empire, this place was a circus square for sport and social activities, and the center of Constantinople and the capital Byzantine Empire. Now, the square houses two Roman monuments in the form of obelisks and a pole. The two Roman obelisks are the obelisk of Theodosius and the Rose obelisk. The former was filled with statues of God and emperors, animals, and heroes. Let's move on for some of the images before I further introduce to you on some of these monuments in this place. So this is basically, you can see the obelisk, and this obelisk, right, is exactly I showed you just now, is the Theodosius. Now at the foot there, you can see where I showed you just now that it's filled with the statue of God and the emperor, animal, and hero, as exactly you can see from the image here. Okay, then next to it we have a pole that's on the right. You can see the image is a pole. This greenish pole is actually not the complete poles. Now this poles, right, is a monument built to celebrate the victory of the Greeks over the Persians during the Persian War in the 5th century. The top portion was a golden bowl, right, supported by 3 serpent heads, which went missing. Today, what you see on this side is only the base, and is why the pole is called a serpent column. Right, so you can see that just now the post is just nothing because the top portion is went missing. Now this is surrounding at this square, and not far from this square is where the Blue Mosque is located. Right, is where the Sultan Ahmet Mosque, or also popularly known as the Blue Mosque. And this is actually seen as a historical center of Turkey, so it's well linked. The transportation here is quite established. You can see the tram. They even had a hop-in, hop-out bus service for the tourists. Okay, now we go to the Blue Mosque, or Sultan Ahmet Mosque. Now, Sultan Ahmet Mosque is also located fronting the sea, and therefore if you take a boat ride, a cruise, you will be able to identify and spot this Blue Mosque easily, right, during a cruise. Now, Sultan Ahmet Mosque is a historical mosque built in 1616 and located in Istanbul. It's also popularly known as a Blue Mosque to many due to its hand-printed blue Islamic tile which adorn its interior at night. The mosque is buffed with blue light from the mosque's 5 main domes, 6 minarets, and 8 secondary domes. Because of the blue light that lighted up during the night, people look bluish, particularly bluish looks in the night, that having the name Blue Mosque is how you get its name. Now the mosque design is a culmination of 2 centuries of Ottoman mosque development. It also incorporated some Byzantine Christian element with traditional Islamic architectures. At the lower level of the interior, finished to every pier, is lined with more than 20,000 handmade Islamic style blue ceramic tile with more than 50 different tulip design on this tile. Later on we will see more of this in the subsequent image. And today, that Sultan Ahmet Mosque still continue to function as a mosque, at the same time open to public and tourists. So the location is as shown here, right? Is the location, the number 15 on this map. Again, you can see it is very, very close to the seafront. So this is some exterior view of the blue mosque. It doesn't look blue during the day in the absence of the blue light. This is at the internal courtyard of this blue mosque. So have to take note that this is considered quite an old mosque. As I mentioned just now, it was built in 1616. So in other words, it's more than 400 years ago. So this is at some of the foyer or corridors before enter the prayer hall. And once you enter to the prayer hall in the mosque itself, this is the interior decoration of the blue mosque. And as far as concerned, it's quite a high ceiling. This mosque have quite a high ceiling, and therefore, if you want to have a closer view of this, you really, if you are a photographer, you want to have a capture a large image of the interior design, you have to bring a telelens because as far it's actually quite high up above ground. And because our visit is not during the Friday, so we have lesser people in the mosque. It's a very, very beautiful mosque. Beside those mosques I've shown during my last few episodes to Iran, this is also another beautiful mosque that I've come across. And this is a prayer area, and tourists are not allowed to enter. Right? So we could only stood at the entry point, and take a picture of it. And in order to protect the columns, so actually you can see all these columns have been cleared. So outside the Blue Mosque, of course, you can also find some other interesting building around this area. Of course, our visit here is time given is very limited, so we have the urgent to another interesting place. So we have left this Blue Mosque not until the evening. Otherwise, we should be able to capture the beautiful night scene of this Blue Mosque when they are lighted up with blue light. And then we go to a very historical bridge. We call it Galata Bridge. Now, Galata Bridge is one of the bridges that span the Golden Horn in Istanbul. It's a double-decker steel bridge, also the first recorded bridge over the Golden Horn, and was built during the reign of Justinian the Great in the 6th century. So looking back from the time frame until now, it's a very, very long durations. Of course, the bridge have undergone some reconstruction, restoration, improvement to the current status or current structures. Now, today, the upper deck is the roots, one of the lower decks is where all the famous fish restaurants are located. This fish restaurant claim to be the best in Istanbul. So if you have a chance to visit Istanbul, do drop by to this fish restaurant and have a meal of this famous fish meal in this part of Istanbul. So you can see this, the bridge. And these are some of the image taken. You can see that on the center and right portion, that part you can see basically the double-decker bridge, and the top of it is actually the road, and the bottom of it, entire the lower section of it is a restaurant alley. So you can see that how many restaurants here, even just in the image here, you can see there are altogether 5 fish restaurants that lie side by side under the road in the lower deck of the bridge. And you can find that many people are doing their fishing at the upper deck, as seen in this picture. Here this is one of the fish restaurants that we have our lunch here. I did enjoy, in fact it's quite a good meal over here. So I'm not sure whether it's the best or what, but then I like the fish meal. This is at the upper deck, where they allow the buses, the coach, to be parked on one side, so that the visitor can go right down to have their fish meal, while the other side is actually the roads. So that means they created a parking lots for all the coaches to park. Here, this is our fish meal of the day. Then if you come to Istanbul, I wouldn't think you want to miss another important places where are most frequent visited by most visitors that visiting Turkey. It's the Grand Bazaar of Istanbul. The Grand Bazaar of Istanbul is one of the largest and the oldest cover markets in the world, with 61 cover streets and over 4,000 shops, which attracting about 250,000 or 250,000 to 400,000 visitors daily. This bazaar is often been regarded as one of the first few shopping malls in the world. It's a bit regret that the time we have in this Grand Bazaar is only about 3 hours plus. And frankly speaking, if you want to cover all the 4,000 shops, no way. You have to make sure that if you're a shopper, please make sure that entire day. And it's even entire day, if you will go into street by street for the 61 street and to cover in detail of the shop, I still don't think that you can cover all the shop in this Grand Bazaar. But anyway, do come and have a visit and to get some of souvenir back if you visit Istanbul. So this is basically just showing the bridge, right? And this is the entrance, one of the entrance to this Grand Bazaar. This is some of the street, the cover street inside the bazaar. And the picture on the right is actually the street that's right outside the bazaar. You can see a lot of bookstore. This is very popular souvenir that most visitors will buy one when they visit Istanbul, Turkey. These are some of the dry nuts, the sweets, the candy. Having said that, actually, Turkey are very popular for candy. Pottery ware and lanterns is also another very popular souvenir item. Spice, glassware. It seems to be that if you are looking for souvenir, this Grand Bazaar, I believe that it will meet every type of visitor, because it have easily thousands of items. You can even get leather goods, anything, almost anything to anything. As I said earlier, it was even considered one of the largest bazaar in Europe. Okay, now we also will visit one of the famous shopping street. It's called Istiklal Street or Istiklal Avenue. It's one of the most famous shopping street in Istanbul, and it was recorded visited daily by nearly 3 million visitors during the weekend. It's located in a historical district and is an elegant pedestrian street of length about 1.4 km. On both sides of the streets, house boutiques, musical store, bookstore, art gallery, cinema, theater, library, cave, pubs, nightclubs, historical patisserie, chocolatery, and restaurants. They mean all the F&B outlets. And the streets start from the medieval Genesis neighborhoods around the Galata Tower, and then they end on the other end, which is the Taksim Square. So it's a long street of about 1.4 kilometer, and then there's another street also run parallelly. So if you were to visit this place, you can basically walk from one street, move to the end, and then come back through another street that run parallel to go back to the place where you begin. It's like a loop, it's a circular loop. So that is actually you can see here from this map, I have shown you 2 points here. Over one end and that end is see a loop there. I show the arrow. So you literally speaking, you can start either from here, moving one round, going back, or you can start from this point, going one round, coming back. So this is actually the very famous shopping street in Turkey, in Istanbul. So this is some of the street scene. Chocolate shop outlets. You were surprised that Turkey is famous for chocolates. Some of the side alley, don't miss out the main. Okay, don't focus just only in the main street. The alley that parallel to the street itself, you can see in these images, they have a lot of eatery outlets, and it's where you can have a chance to indulge yourself to this local Turkish cuisine. And this is a famous Turkey ice cream. And of course, you still remember the act that you want to grab the cone, then finally you found that actually you have a cone, but the ice cream is not in the cone. And you can see this act by this ice cream seller in a lot of YouTube that have recorded how we have fun with the visitor. And this is some of the famous Turkish candy shop. Have all sort of variety. These restaurants. You can see some of the dishes there. Their style of serving is quite similar to our local in Malaysia, like those to call it mixed rice or chap fan, in Cantonese. But this is high class one, So some of them may even been put on the plate, right, ready to serve. You just want you to pick one of the plate and go. This kebab, and I like they have the beef kebab as well as the chicken kebab. So this is at the corner, as one end of it, where we make a U-turn, and this basically is at the square. And I believe this Galata Tower. So you can see they also have quite a number of stores selling flowers, florist, and this is the historical tram, right? And this is basically in front of Bayongru Station. It's basically at the southern end of Istiklal Street. So, my dear friend, this is about our tour today. Today's Istanbul, the city, right, was once the capital city of Turkey. And if you like my travel channel, please give a thumb up, subscribe and share to your friend. And the next week will bring you to those inner part of Turkey. Remember, Turkey is one of the most popular and famous nations that's been frequented by world tourists. Remember that Istanbul itself is the 5th world most visited city, right? And I hope that you can stay tuned, and see you again in next Saturday at the same time at 9 p.m. Malaysian time. So stay healthy and stay strong. And Chris Lee here will see you in the coming weeks. And thank you for staying until this hour with me. Thank you very much.